Hello, everyone, and welcome to New Directions East Asia 2021. Good afternoon from here in Kunming, China, and good morning or good evening if you are based somewhere else. This session is entitled Old Normal, New Normal and Lessons for Future Normal, Teaching and Assessing Sounds of English for Global Communication Programs. The presenter is Professor Soba Rethinasamy. She is a lecturer at the Faculty of Language and Communication at the University of Malaysia Sarawak. Welcome. If you have any questions for the presenter, please type them into the chat box during the session, and we will have 10 minutes at the end where sessions can be addressed and we can discuss them. I will now hand over to our presenter, Professor Rethinasamy. Please, I'm going to stop sharing. Please share your presentation and begin when you're ready.
Hi, good afternoon from here, Malaysia. Thank you, William. Can you all see the screen that I'm sharing?
Yes. I can hear you and I can see you clearly.
Okay, good. So thank you for the introduction, William. I will proceed with my presentation. As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has posed severe disruptions to all levels of teaching and learning, including teaching and learning and assessment at tertiary level. And MCO, the movement control measure implemented, forced the courses that we used to teach face-to-face or in a blended manner to be taught fully online. Undoubtedly, this sole online teaching approach has prompted many significant changes to all aspects of teaching, learning, as well as assessment. Now, despite the challenges imposed by the full online teaching and assessment, there are also a lot of opportunities for making the students' learning more interesting and meaningful. And in this presentation, I will share with you the modifications that were made to adapt to the new normal of teaching for the Sounds of English course offered to undergraduates taking English for Global Communication degree program in Universiti Malaysia Sarawak, where I am a lecturer. So a little bit of background about the English for Global Communication degree program. It is a 4-year degree program and it is been offered since September 2019. So it's quite a young program. And the entry requirement into the program is a minimum of Band 4 in the Malaysian University English test, which is our own version of something like the IELTS examination. So a Band 4 is probably more or less same level with a B2 or a C1. The students are usually between B2 and C1 in the CEFR. And they also need to have good academic results with high CGPA. Under the English for Global Communication course, several courses are offered, and one of the courses which is offered in the first year, first semester, is the Sounds of English course. Here, I'm giving you the synopsis of the course. Basically, the course focuses on English sounds with a focus on RP pronunciation, where consonants are introduced, vowels are introduced, the 44 sounds in English are introduced, and how these sounds are produced. And towards the end of the course, we also look at the issues in relation to English pronunciation with the focus on variations of English pronunciation across the globe. And the learning outcome for the course, as I have shown here, it's listed in this box. Yeah, the learning outcome is students should be able to describe the basics in theoretical concepts, and also analyze how English sounds are made in terms of articulatory phonetics, produce transcriptions of the sounds, and analyze variations. This slide shows how the course was taught before the pandemic and also during the pandemic. I will explain each of these in more detail. Firstly, before the pandemic, how this course was taught is face-to-face. The students have 3 hours class per week in class with me. And then it is supported, it was taught in a blended manner. It's supported by a platform called ILIP. ILIP is a Moodle platform, which is the official learning management system that UNIMAS gives to all lecturers and students. So the face-to-face teaching is combined with relevant online sources and also Web 2.0 tools like OneDrive, Google Drive, Kahoot, Padlet, and so on. And from time to time, I gather feedback from students, mostly from their reactions, from their facial reactions in class, and also from the verbal responses that they give during the class. Occasionally, I also gather feedback through the feedback function, which is available in ILIP. This is a snapshot of the UNIMAS ILIP, yeah? And these are the students that I had in my class when we had the face-to-face teaching and learning. And the assessment for the course includes 60% course continuous assessment with quizzes, assignments, and project, and also a final exam consisting of multiple choice question and short answer question that carried 40%. Now, come 2020, it was the pandemic, and as we all know, we had to go fully online. So when we went fully online, we had to take into consideration the fact that the students who are taking the course are located all over Malaysia. Some of them live in cities and some in very remote areas in the long houses, especially where I am on the Borneo Island, where they have no or limited internet access. So what the university has done is to encourage students who have device and also internet challenges to come and stay on campus. And this is not just for the students who are staying in rural areas, but also in cities, because some of the students, also, although they are living in cities, they are at home with the parents working from home and they have siblings. And when all of them use the home Wi-Fi, the internet connection becomes unstable. So the university welcomed any students who have these challenges to come and stay on campus. And the Wi-Fi connection is provided for free for all the students. And as in face-to-face teaching, I continue to use the UNIMAS LMS, which is ILIP, but this time, because of the pandemic, we were provided with an enhanced ILIP. Therefore, I was able to provide more relevant online materials and also use more Web 2.0 tools to engage with the students. And the gathering of the students' feedback was able to be done in a more systematic manner using the function which is available, the feedback function which is available on ILIP. And there was a slight change to the assessment. The final exam was taken away. The marks for these were included in the assignment and also the project. So the quiz was there, the assignment was there, the project was still there, but the final examination was removed. Moving on, I'm going to explain to you the 3 major assessments that were carried out in the course and how what the students think about them. So the first one that I'm going to share with you is about the quizzes. It's a traditional quiz, traditional assessment using MCQ questions. And before every quiz, the students were informed at least 1 or 2 weeks earlier in the elite and also through WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the communication system that we open up for easy communication with the students. So for every course, we have an WhatsApp group. So they can inform the students of this so that the students can go to a place where the internet is stable when they are taking the quiz. There were 3 quizzes altogether. So this quiz is made available through Elite, the UNIMAS online learning platform, and it allowed the questions to be jumbled, not in the same order for every student, and also the options to be jumbled up. And this actually reduces the chance of the students copying. And also the time that was given for the students to respond to the question was about 15 to 20 seconds per question, right? So this enabled immediate scoring. Immediately after this quiz, the students can be shown their results, and they can also review their responses and check where they have gone wrong. As I've shown here, they can see out of the 20 questions, how many they got wrong, and they can also review. So I will just show this here. So this is how it will come out. So the students get to see their score immediately after they respond to the quiz. Moving on, these are the feedback that I have gathered from the students after they took the quiz. So as you can see, the students were asked to share, and one of them mentioned that his or her house had a blackout, but luckily the mobile internet data was available, and he or she was able to submit the answers on time. Another student said that the quiz enabled him or her to challenge how far he or she has learned about the English consonants, and the minor mistakes that I did while answering it drives me to study more. One student said that the quiz was very straightforward and not complicated. Another student said that loved how the quiz was conducted, and said that prefer a little bit more time. However, another student said that the time provided was sufficient. So these kind of feedback were taken into account in planning future quizzes, as well as further action if required. Like, for example, if the student had a blackout, then we will make the quiz available for the student to take with a set of parallel questions from the question bank. The next assessment is a modified short answer question. Why do I say modified short answer question? Because it involves a set of short questions compiled into one assessment. And this task is very similar to the one that we had during the face-to-face, but the students submitted in paper form. For the online version, because of the lack of physical contact with students, the task was made clearer in the task description provided, and the instruction also was made clearer. And to enhance that, the task was actually put in OneDrive and linked in Elite, so that when students ask questions, okay, what to do, they are unclear about something, it enabled editing to be done directly on the OneDrive, and other students had access to it at the same time. The task also provide options for students to choose whether they want to work individually or in pair, and the weight of the task was done accordingly as well. And the online submission enabled collaborative learning, where the submissions were shared with all the students, and they were able to learn from one another. So from paper submission, this not just made it paperless, but actually paperless completely. So this is the task. In case you are not able to see this, I'm providing you the link to the task. So this is the task. I'll show you the task. Give me a moment. So this is the first assignment. Remember, they are first year, first semester students. So the task description was given, clear instruction was given, and a set of short answer questions were included in the task and built in together with the mark allocation. The marking scheme was provided together. And then an example was also provided because they are not familiar with university level kind of assignment. So an example was given. Okay, moving on. So after the task was given, the students were asked their feedback on the task. So here are samples of the feedback obtained from the student. The full version is available here. So you can say one of the students, you can see that one of the students who did this task in pairs said it enables good teamwork, and also the instructions were clear, and also throughout they found other relevant, while researching for the assessment, they actually found other relevant videos. They say that the task itself is very helpful in getting students familiar with various aspects of the consonant sound. So one student said that the sample provided was really helpful, and it's very clear and understandable, and the example served as a guide. And the tasks given are not too easy, not too difficult. This is what another student said, and say that this is very, very helpful for new degree students like them. Yeah. So this is the feedback from them. And this is the feedback on the rubric. As you can see, most of the students said that the rubric was found to be very helpful. It serves as a guideline, clearly provides the mark allocation. But there were also suggestions for improvement. Like one student said that the description should have more marks, and the part where they have to draw the diagram could be given a little bit higher marks. So these are useful for us to keep improving the rubrics. And as a follow-up activity, all the submissions from the students were used, were shared with all the students, and the students get to view the submission by all the other students and learn from each other. So I will show you the peer feedback. Right, so all the submissions, here are all the submissions put into OneDrive, and then created rows for the students to comment. And you can see that the students commented on each other's work and learned from each other. So, and again, they were asked feedback on, this peer feedback. So the students say that they understand more about the consonant sounds by providing feedback for their peers, and it has taught me how to pay more attention to details and improving grasp of articulatory of English consonant sound. One student said, although that the task was actually providing peer feedback was actually a tedious thing to do, but it enhanced the understanding of the subject matter and how the English sounds are produced. And the student got to discover and acknowledge his or own mistakes. So it was fun and helpful is what another student said. And I could examine my mistakes and correct them and stay connected in learning. So these are the feedback received from the students when they were asked to provide peer feedback on the submissions made by other students. Yeah, and the last assessment is the alternative assessment. In class, when we had face-to-face lesson, the students had to present this in class. Of course, they received immediate feedback, but the feedback was kind of rushed because every group has certain time allocation. And the options for students to showcase their ICT skill was limited because it was done orally in class. But when it was done online, it enabled the students to utilize more of their ICT skills, just like how we, the lecturers, have learned a lot from this pandemic. The students' ICT skills have also improved quite a lot. So this kind of task enables them, gives them freedom to respond to the task in the way that they want to. Of course, it also made it paperless completely. Yeah. So let me show you the task. This is the task. So in this task, what the students were asked to do is they were asked to compare RP pronunciation with another variety of English anywhere in the world. So they were allowed to choose to compare with American English, Canadian, or Australian, New Zealand, Malaysian, or any other variety that they choose. So I got a huge compilation students doing on RP and Japanese English, RP and Korean English, RP and African American English, all kinds, yeah? And the rubric was also provided to them. So here are samples of the students' submissions. As you can see, many students worked on all kinds of varieties, Korean variety, a few worked on Malaysian variety, one looked at Scottish English. So this kind of options allow the students to work on something that is of interest to them and perform at their best as well. I think I can show you a sample of the student submission, but I think the time will not allow, so I will move on to the next slide. So basically, we have learned a lot from this assessment, doing assessment fully online. I have learned to make the task description clearer, the instruction in written form rather than just giving them in oral form during face-to-face class, and also placing the task design, the task format, the task description, the task instruction in OnDrive enables me to keep improving as when the students are unclear about any of the instructions, and providing more detailed rubrics, provide options to students to work individually, in pairs or in small groups, but it is weighted accordingly to the number of people who are working on the task, and they are allowed to do an audio recording and present in PowerPoint or YouTube, TikTok, and so on. Give them the freedom. And it also made it a greener assessment because, as I said, it's paperless completely. And I would say that they are also stronger assessments because they have higher validity and reliability with the improved rubric, and enables creative output from the students and engages more in the 21st century learning skills, especially the ICT skills and the collaboration skills. Students get to use more of this, employ more of this in doing the assessments. So a fairer assessment, a greener assessment, and stronger assessment as well. So I think my time is up. It's 23 minutes. I will stop now. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Professor Rethanasamy, for that very insightful presentation. We have a few questions from the audience, starting with Moon Yen Mangtalal. They say, was there an improvement in learning from the face-to-face to online mode of delivery?
Thank you so much for the question. I was hoping somebody will ask that. I didn't get a chance to explain that. Definitely, because I have taught 3 groups so far. The first group I taught face-to-face, and the second and the third group I taught online, fully online. And the students' performance in the fully online batch is much better than the students who learned face-to-face. And I think it's mainly because of the improved task instruction, the improved rubric, and the constant feedback that was received from the students and the improvement that were continuously made, because it is a new situation that needed us to learn and relearn and relook and review what we've been doing more constantly compared to what we took for granted when we were doing face-to-face for umpteenth number of years.
Thank you very much. There's another question from Barry O'Sullivan. He says, great talk, Prof. Do you feel there are any lessons here for large-scale test developers?
Wow, thank you, Professor Barry. Professor Barry is my PhD supervisor. I'm his student, and I'm so privileged to have had him as my PhD supervisor. So a lot of what I'm learning here is what I learned when I was with him and inspired by him in many ways. Thank you so much. So in a large scale testing, I think it's something that I really have to think about. But I think a lot of it are being done, especially with the MCQ, with the traditional assessment where the questions are jumbled up and the options are jumbled up. That is something that we can actually use when we are running assessment synchronously or simultaneously to avoid copying among students, especially in large scale assessments. And also when it comes to more non-traditional assessments that involve performance-based, whether it is small scale or large scale, I think having good rubrics, as Barry always emphasized, good rubrics is very, very important. But together with the good rubric, I also think that the task description and the task instruction should be made clear. When the students, I realize from the feedback given by the students, I'm not saying this, it's my students who are saying this, they say that they tend to procrastinate when they are unclear about what they are required to do for a particular assignment. So if the task is clear and the instructions are clear, they tend to work on it earlier. There is less procrastination, and also the rubric and the clear rubric and instruction helps them to target their performance, because it acts as a feedback tool, self-direct and constant feedback, because we as instructors cannot be there all the time to provide feedback for the students. But they say that the rubric helps them to check whether they are on the right track and whether they are hitting those advanced students, the hardworking students. They want to get A. There are some students who want to just pass the course, so they know where to target. Okay, I just want to pass, they know where to target. But those who want to score, they use the rubric to direct their learning and perform at their best. So Barry, I hope you are happy with my response.
Yes, it does seem that there is a very, very powerful assessment for learning application of this platform. There is another question, and I think this might be the last question. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Tatsuhiro Okubo, apologies if I've pronounced your name terribly. The question is, do you introduce flipped methods during the online classroom?
Tatsuhiro Okubo is a professor in University of Utsunomiya, Japan. I work closely with him on a program called EduTour, which is an international student mobility program, and we have successfully conducted it last year virtually. I mean, this year, 2021, we are already planning it for next year, 2022. So flipped, yes, it has to be done. And this is, a lot of people are talking about hybrid method and all that. But within the full online teaching, I believe that it's very, very important to have this constant contact with students. What I do is, for every class, I go online, synchronous session, 40 minutes to 1 hour, not too much, yeah? 40 minutes to 1 hour online with the students. And this session is supported with a recorded version. Why recorded version? Because the internet instability of the students. Sometimes they are kicked out from the WebEx. So this recorded version enables the students to listen to the class at any time, and also for them to rewind and review and keep on improving in many ways. So it's a kind of hybrid within the full online, I would say, to have synchronous and asynchronous together. So these are the best practices, I think, that we should not give up, but utilize fully when we go back to face-to-face teaching, where, again, I would like to emphasize the best practices from full online should be utilized to make our teaching and learning and assessment beyond normal when we return to normalcy.
Thank you very much. That was a really interesting answer. Barry says very happy.
Thank you very much.
That brings us to the end of the session. Please leave us some feedback on this particular session by answering the 2 short survey questions next to the screen. Thank you very much for attending, and I hope you continue to enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you once again, Professor Rethasani. That was a very interesting presentation. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, William, for the wonderful moderation. Thank you so much for the questions. Thank you. All the best.